You're listening to the SweetLife Entrepreneur Podcast. Simplified strategies to grow your service business and launch a life you love faster. With business mentor and entrepreneur activator, April Beach.
Thank you.
No problem. All right, that seems better. You're not frozen anymore.
Okay, good. My sound is actually probably going to be better as well.
Okay.
So many things going on there. Let me just double check my audio one more time.
Okay, no problem.
You're good.
All right.
All right, you guys. Well, welcome back to another episode of the SweetLife Business Podcast. I am joined today by Danielle Hayden, and I'm super excited to talk to her specifically because we're talking about money, directly about profit, how to increase your profit, and how to make sure all the work that you're doing in your business is actually leading to the end result that you want, and that's profit. And I do think that there are quite a few entrepreneurs, which I can't say this is necessarily a bad thing, but they love what they do so much that the profit actually doesn't come first. And so years can pass by and all of a sudden they can realize that they haven't really controlled their financial future. So that's why we have Danielle on the show today. Danielle is a reformed corporate CFO who is on a mission to help rule-breaking entrepreneurs understand their numbers so they can gain the confidence needed to create sustainable profits. After spending over 10 years in a boardroom as a corporate finance officer, Danielle is now in her sweet spot as a co-owner of Kickstart Accounting, Inc., where she helps business owners with bookkeeping, financial analysis, and education, and as the author of the Profit Planner book series, which is super exciting. When Danielle isn't knee-deep in the numbers, you can find her hanging out with her two kids or competing in the nearest Spartan race. Danielle, I love that you're here. Give yourself an intro. Tell everybody.
Thank you.
Tell everybody a little bit more than that.
Yeah, and you gave it such an amazing intro because I think you explained all of us entrepreneurs, right? We are so passionate about what we're doing that we have to all remember that we're in business. And our passion, our mission at Kickstart is to help entrepreneurs keep that front and center. We need to be turning a profit and we need to be making money so that we can use our business to support our dreams and our personal goals, right?
Yeah.
What do we want to be doing when we are getting up from our desk at the end of the day? And how can we support that life as well?
Yeah. And, I know before we started recording, you and I chatted a little bit. And I love that you asked me, who are your listeners, April? Where are they with money? And one of the things that we've identified as a company is, we have listeners that are obviously just starting business, but a lot of our listeners have established businesses and they're ready to grow and they're ready to scale. And that's all of a sudden that time when they're like, oh shit, I'm not really in control of the money. I haven't really looked at the financials of what it takes in order for me to get, whether it's from, a $500,000 business to a multi-million-dollar business, or for some companies it's just crossing over like 150,000, whatever that is. There is like this line in the sand that's drawn, and so that's what we're going to talk about today, which I'm super excited about. Really, how to get to that next level in your business, how to grow and scale your business. And so, thank you for being here. I can't wait to hear everything that you're going to say. So, when we're talking about how to create this sort of freedom, you call it a financial dashboard. First of all, what is a financial dashboard?
Yeah, you don't hear that term all the time in the industry, and that's why I think that this is so important for entrepreneurs. We hear all the time, your taxes, your profit and loss statement, your balance sheet, look at your financial statements, But how about let's use something that as a business owner can help us really get in tune with our financials on a forward-looking basis, right? Our profit and loss and our balance sheet, those financial statements, those are all historical financial statements. So although that is really important, that dashboard that you do on a more consistent basis can really empower you day to day, week to week, to make the right business decisions on a forward-looking basis. And so the dashboard includes our signature framework of pieces of information that we know is really important to your business. What I've done here is I've taken all of the experience I had as working as a CFO, and my job in corporate accounting was to compile all this information for the CEO and the board.
Darn, Danielle. Sorry, Danielle, you froze for a second there.
I did. Okay.
So
it's okay.
You can just start again. Brittany will edit all this out. You can just start again saying my job as the CEO.
Yeah. So my job as a CFO was to compile all of this information and arm our CEO and our board of directors and our management team with key pieces of information so that they can go and drive the business. And so I'm taking all that experience from that time, and I'm arming you as the entrepreneur with that same information so that you can go drive your business.
Okay, I love it. So what are some of those key metrics that people should be looking at? You know, what are the financial numbers that every single business owner should know and should be tracking?
Yeah, so included in your dashboard, I want you to look. So I want you to pick a day of the week. So this dashboard should be done on a regular basis. So put this time in your calendar. I don't care if it's Monday, Wednesday, Friday, every Sunday. I don't care what day of the week it is. The idea is that I want you to be consistent. And so on that day, I want you to look at what are your balances. What is your cash balance? What's your credit card balance? Maybe you have a line of credit. Look at your PayPal balances, everything. I want you to pull all of that information so that you know how much money do I have today and how much availability do I have to pull from my lines of credit, my credit cards. So that's figure number one. Okay. Number two, during the same time period that you're working on your dashboard, I want you to look at all of the people who owe you money. Right, so in the accounting world, we call it your accounts receivable. So I want you to look at your accounts receivable. This is going to be the time that you send out collection notices, right? You have the permission. I give you permission. You worked for that money. You are to collect on it. Send out those collection notices. Look at who owes you money, and then use that information to understand where you're going to be for the week. If you know you have a client who always pays you 15 days after that invoice is due, and that's 15 days this week, and they owe you $10,000, then you can bet that money's coming in, and that's going to help you make different business decisions this week than if you know, that one client who never pays me, I'm probably not going to get it this week. You know not to include that money to make business decisions this week.
Got it.
All right, so that's number two.
Okay.
Number three. I want you to look at who do you owe money, right? So in the accounting world, we call this accounts payable. What credit card payments are coming up? So this includes credit cards, line of credit. If you have a brick and mortar, you might have a rent payment coming up, your utilities, your cell phone bill, maybe you use Zoom or Dropbox. All of these larger subscriptions that you know are coming up. Maybe it's your 1099 or the branding and website development that you just had done. Anybody that you could owe money to that's coming due over the next week, I want you to jot that down in this dashboard. And it's really important because then you can see a full picture. Even if you have a lot of cash in your business, but you know you have some large payments coming up this week, you know that you need to change the way you make business decisions this week. Maybe you can't sign up for that new course. Maybe you can't travel for the next conference. Maybe you need to wait to pay that. So it can really drive how you make business decisions each week.
Yeah, and about that, I know a lot of online businesses, those that don't have brick and mortar stores, and my business included in that, there are a lot of software expenses. And I remember it was about 3 years ago, all of a sudden I was sitting there and I actually realized I had never totaled the amount unless I was looking at like a profit and loss in hindsight, like you're saying. I never really thought about how much money we were spending on software. And I think we had over like 35 different charges coming in. Some were only $5, some were 55, some were 500. And all of a sudden I'm like, oh my gosh, this is an absolute drain. It's a huge hole leaving my business that I just consider it a necessary evil. And I think a lot of online businesses are like racking up the software expenses too. So I love that you said this, and just keeping track of what's coming in each week, and making sure that, honestly, that we aren't frivolously spending on something we don't need to. But, even that $1.99 Google Drive storage, all of these little numbers add up and definitely take away from the profit. So
they do.
Super smart.
And then the last figure I want you to calculate on this dashboard is your sales. And the reason I want you to look at this every week and compare it to two numbers. Compare it to what you did last month, what you did last year, and what was your goal, right? What was your budget? What was your goal? And the reason I want you to compare it to those three is because if it's the second week of the month and I'm way behind what I did last month, or I'm way behind what I did last quarter, or I'm way behind my goal, I need to really focus my energy and my activities and my to-do list over the next 2 weeks to really be income generating activities. Are there any deals that I can close? Is there anything that I can bill out to customers? So maybe I have an outstanding project that can be billed out. Is there anybody, if you're falling short of last month, was there anybody who actually didn't get their bill this month, right? So maybe there's a billing error. So I always say your financials are trying to tell you a story. Read the story, right? So if my sales, if I'm 2-3 weeks into the month and I'm not where I need to be, I need to listen to that story and I need to change my activities for the rest of the month.
Totally makes sense. Okay, I have questions.
Yeah, let's go.
Let me figure out the best way to word this. Is there a certain profit margin benchmark that a company would know that they need to be at before investing in future growth? So, did that make sense in the way I asked that? Is there a certain amount of, like, you're hitting these profit margins and now you are in a place? Is there a healthy percentage of growth of profit that would tell a business, that's like maybe a number or percentage, an indicator that would tell a business, hey, listen, you really, now at this point in time, you've sustained this profit, you've grown consistently, now it's a healthy time to reinvest and scale more?
Yeah. You did ask the question correctly. So
okay.
This is the worst answer I can possibly give you.
Oh, wait, bring it on. Okay, that's okay. Basically, I can't tell you, April, because I don't see your numbers. Yeah.
No, it depends. Yeah. Okay. So I think I always tell people a healthy profit margin is 30%. I could give you that answer, 30%. But there's more to that, right? So it depends on what your personal situation is. It depends on where you've already been at in your business. So maybe this is your third year in business, and the first year and a half was really tough, and you took out a lot of debt in your business. And although you're starting to turn a profit, you're carrying on a lot of debt with you. And so with that person, I might say it's probably more important for you to restructure that debt before you go and invest more money into your business. Maybe you're somebody who you don't have to take as much money to support your personal obligations, and therefore you have the opportunity to be able to invest bigger in your business right now. And lastly, it depends on what your goals are. I always tell people, you need to sit back and it sounds so cliche and it's so entrepreneur, there's so many entrepreneur gurus who are telling you to set goals, but I want you to do it a little bit differently. I want you to set financial goals. We had a client last year who her goal was to grow her top line revenue no matter what the cost. She was not taking a dollar from her business. She was growing revenue. And so she was doing some Facebook advertising. She had a budget for that. She was going to conferences. So we had set up a budget for her to go to 4 conferences. She was doing a ton of in-person networking throughout the year. And so when we sent her financial statements, and we kept on saying, hey, although you are not profitable today, we know that this is aligning with your goal, right? And as we came into 2020, we really started to see her revenue soar. And it was an amazing story to tell, right? I'm telling the story because she really made that investment throughout the year. We saw that return and she said, okay, 2020 is my year to make money for me. You know, I want to go on vacation. I want to pay back me. And so now this year, when we see her expenses start to creep up because she gets excited and wants to go buy the next course, or she still wants to go to all those conferences, we are able to say, hey, your goal was to be profitable this year. So we need to keep these expenses in line. Is this something that we really need to do in order to sustain revenue, or can we do without this expense this year?
Super great. I love that story. Okay, so this is actually a good segue into what about self-pay? There are a lot of business owners that still, I mean, they could have been in business for 7-10 years that still aren't paying themselves. What does that look like to pay yourself? What is that frequency? You know, what are the benchmarks that our listeners right now should say, hey man, you know, I haven't really pulled a dime unless it was just maybe a couple dollars here, a couple dollars there. Let's talk about that.
Yeah. So first of all, no shame. We have had clients come to us in every spectrum of this story. And the first thing I'll say is just, you know, kind of don't give yourself a hard time about it, right? It has happened to too many entrepreneurs. I think it's time to break that mold though. So frequency, I would say at least once a month. You know, if you could do it weekly when you're doing that dashboard, you can pay yourself weekly. But let's say you're somebody who you haven't done that type of dashboard yet. You're only looking at your financials on a monthly or quarterly basis. When you look at that information, that would be the time to get yourself paid. But if you're doing that dashboard, you have a little bit more opportunity to get yourself paid more frequently. The other thing I'll say, you know, a lot of entrepreneurs will come to us. Our clients will say, hey, look, you know, what do I pay myself? How do I even know what's the right number? I feel like I'm, you know, if I take too much, I'm robbing my business. And if I don't take enough, I'm frustrated with my business that it's not supporting the life I want. So the goal is to find a happy medium. And here's the exercise that I suggest for every business owner to do. Take your cash balance that's in the bank today. And I want you to subtract between 1 and 3 months worth of operating expenses. So go pull out your P&L, go take that profit and loss statement, take out any of the outliers. So maybe you had a $4,000 legal bill last month or a $2,000 branding bill, you know, the things that aren't going to continuously happen.
Okay.
Yeah. So zero those out. You know, you can do this in Excel, just literally press backspace. Right. And maybe any payments to yourself, you know, clear those out. Maybe you let go of your contractor last month, clear that out. So just want you to have a true average of your monthly operating expenses. And you want to have between 1 and 3 months. So take beginning cash minus your 1 to 3 months worth of savings. And then that is your true cash balance. That's what you can take from your business, unless you know of a big investment coming in the next month or so. Then maybe subtract that out as well.
Yeah. Wow, that's awesome. And it's so helpful. And I love that you said that too, that there's no shame in this, because so many businesses so many entrepreneurs want to make their business work, and they're just willing to do everything they can, which is what takes it, that's what it takes to have a successful business. But we have to pay ourselves. And it's something I struggled with for years. I didn't start paying myself. I think I was in business for about 9 years before I ever started paying myself. And I remember when I first started doing that, it felt like I was robbing from, I'm like, why wouldn't I leave it in there? I really don't need this right now. Why wouldn't I leave it in the company? But there was something about, as a woman that owns 2 businesses 100% by myself, there was something about that just for me, about that power and authority, and maybe it's just the way I am, that I was pulling my own money out of that just really made me feel good. And I remember it was like a turning point psychologically for me, that even I took my businesses even more seriously, if that's even something that I could have done, when I really started to pay myself. It was a big shift in my mindset about that, and that was a big deal for me.
It's a huge shift. I can't tell you how many times clients will come to us and they're frustrated because they're not paying that. And it hurts them in their other relationships, right? So think about your husband or wife who you're spending a lot of time in this business. And if you're not taking any of that home to help support your family, that it can hurt your other relationships and how they're supporting you in your business. And so we've just really have watched people transform from kind of being resentful towards their business to really being able to embrace and grow their business when they start to pay themselves. So if you haven't taken a paycheck yet, no shame. I want you to sit down, do the dashboard, put it in your calendar, do that dashboard. I gave you the calculation.
Yep.
And I want you to take a paycheck as of next month.
Yeah.
Get it started.
Even if it's like $100. Like,
yeah, $100. Yeah,
$100. Pay yourself $100. Okay, Danielle, I appreciate all these numbers so much and for you being on the show. To wrap it up, talk to us about why it's so important for entrepreneurs to actually own their own success.
Yeah, so nobody's coming to save you, right? There's nobody who's going to come in and wave a magic wand and say, you deserve this. You worked hard enough. Done.
Here you go.
Here we go. I give you the magic bean. And so it's time for all entrepreneurs, step up. And when you can start to really look at your financials, look at your dashboard, start taking home a paycheck, all of those things are really action steps to helping you step into your success as a business owner. They're all the steps that you need to start to grow and play bigger. And I promise you, until you start to have that confidence, there's always going to be something holding you back. When we work with clients, we see them literally morph into this transformation from going confused and lost and I'm not sure if I can buy this. I'm not sure if I can pay myself. And then once you start seeing your financials and once you start setting goals and then once you start paying yourself, these are all building blocks. And then all of a sudden you wake up and you feel confident and you're like, I'm ready to make this business the success that I knew it was supposed to be.
Right. Yeah, I love that. Thank you so much for being on the show, for your wisdom and your expertise and sharing it with our listeners and sharing it with me. How can people find you? And talk to us about your books that you're writing so our avid readers out there that love to read know how to tap into more of you.
Yeah, so you can find me at profitplannerbookkeeping.com/SweetLife. You can read more about our services and the books, but just this is where we took our signature framework that we were using with our clients, and we put pen to paper, and we really outlined a workbook for entrepreneurs to be able to use to analyze, set up, and then analyze their financials. We see so many business owners who say this whole accounting thing, it's kind of a big blur. There's so much to it. I don't even know where to start, right? It's like going on a diet or running a marathon. So what we did was we took all of that information and said, let's break this down. So it's a 12-week book, and every week we give you 2 to 4 pages worth of accounting education. We just set up the foundations for that week. And then we give you one action step per day. So there's one activity. So you set up 15 minutes in the morning as your CEO time. You do that action step. And then you start to you build your confidence. And by the time you're done with the 12 weeks, you're like, wow, I've got my business financials under control. I feel like a badass.
Wow, how powerful. That's so powerful. I love that. Especially that it's your signature framework with all your experience and how you're used to getting entrepreneurs results and small businesses results. So we love that. So we'll make sure as well that a link to where people can grab that is in the show notes for this episode, or you guys can just cruise directly over to profitplannerbookkeeping.com/SweetLife. Is that correct?
Yeah. That's it. Yep.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Thanks so much for your time. I loved having you on the show. It was great to meet you.
Yeah, I'm so glad to be here. And as question comes in, I will watch on social media and whatnot. I'm happy to keep the conversation going.
Awesome. Me too. Appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you.